Recording in progress. Hey,
Woo!
everybody. Welcome to part 3 of working with your guides. We have talked about connecting and knowing who your guides are. We've talked about setting boundaries. And tonight, we're going to talk about the messages and how to decipher the messages. So, hi, I'm Yvette LeFlore with Healing with Yvette, and I am with
Shari O'Reilly, Intuitive Healing.
Yay. And we have loved doing this series for you. And so let's talk about deciphering those messages. And I just want to do a quick run of some of the different ways that you may receive them, and then we'll talk about deciphering them. So you may get spirit guides that come in the form of beings, animals, songs. You may get message through angel numbers. You may get message through electricity. You may get message through things that just happen. So a lot of it is about being aware, like being aware of what's going on. And I've just named a few of the things. Shari, anything else you would add? Oh, did I say dreams?
Dreams, also your own body, your gut, your intuition, aches and pains, and yeah, I think you hit on a lot of the ones that are basic ones anyway. And maybe people can put a comment if there's something that they get and
That's
if they're curious about.
Yeah, so I'll be monitoring the Facebook. So you'll see me looking down as I'm monitoring Facebook to see if there's any questions or things that people want to ask. But so let's start with, where do you want to start? I mean, we have a lot of different ways that we're communicated with. Where do you want to start?
I think we should start with angel numbers, because that kind of seems like the door opening for a lot of people. They'll start seeing 111 or 1111, and they'll see it enough to really be like, what's going on? And then you notice it more and more, or 333, or constantly being waken up at 4:44. So I think angel numbers are just, I think we're just always looking at our phones, our clocks. But remember to also, I see it a lot. I think we talked about this on odometers and license plates. So billboards, people's phone numbers, like numbers are all over the place. So I think, addresses, there was one time I was asking for a sign, and the address on the card someone gave me was 111, whatever the road was. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I think angel numbers are a good place to start.
So I am the lucky recipient of waking up at 3:33, 4:44, 2:22, 1:11. Like, stop it. So where do people go to find out what these numbers mean?
Well, what I tell my clients is the famous words, Google it. Yep. And when you Google, like, what does angel number 111 mean? Remember again that the guides work most easily through electronics. And so what I have found is when you Google it, it actually works to the benefit, because it seems to me that the message that pops up first is usually the message that we need to hear. If it isn't, go down, and you can see maybe there's another person that wrote a blog about it or has a website about angel numbers. Maybe you'll find the person that resonates with you. I used to use one particular person, and I can't remember, unfortunately, her name off the top of my head. But that would be the one that seemed to resonate with me no matter what numbers I found, whether even when it wasn't like triple numbers, like when it was like 7878.
Right.
It would really resonate the way that she wrote, the way that she took the 7 and the 8 and what it meant and put it together, so on and so forth. So I suggest really either finding your person
Mm,
And then,
mhm.
Google puts that on top usually for you anyway, if you go to the same site, or see what pops up for you, because it really has been my experience. And I've had, tons of clients that I've worked with have the same experience, that what you need to hear is what pops up.
And I have that same experience, and I know that my top one has changed over time. So yeah, so try that out and let us know. Come back here and comment, or reach out to either one of us and let us know where do you search for angel numbers, and has it changed over time? Have you found your source, or are you new to the angel numbers?
And also what number's been popping up for you.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
What is
yeah.
your go? And that changes for me all the time. Again, depending on what I need to hear. And the other thing is, and this is kind of what we're talking about tonight, is that once you really get intimate with your guides and you start communicating with them on a regular basis, they will communicate to you in a way that you understand. And if numbers is the way that feels comfortable to you, and you start communicating back and forth with it, they will use the numbers on a
Mhm,
more regular basis.
mhm.
I don't know if it was you. I know we were going to talk tonight about songs, but were you the one, right? You were the one that said that music has always spoken to you. And so I don't remember if it was you or another a client of mine that was saying that songs are always the way that she just felt connected.
Mhm,
Songs, that's for a lot of us, opens our hearts, and
mhm.
um, you know, get a lot of feelings from songs. So her guides started using songs, and she would just turn on a radio and there would be a song with words in it that answered the prayer that she was putting out there.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I find songs will, and it's sometimes it's the song that's the memory trigger, right? It's a memory of someone or a situation. And so that it may be that the song reminds you of a situation, and that situation actually answers the question that you had. So sometimes it's like a puzzle piece that you're putting together. It's not always like, this is the answer, Yvette. um, and then in my work, I get songs for my clients all the time. That's Spirit talks to me through song when I'm doing work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remembered. I thought it was something that you were
Yeah.
saying about songs. And
Yeah.
I actually, one of the women that I work with too, she would always tell me a song, the song is coming through. And sometimes it would be like, um, um, You Are My Sunshine, right? That's my song from my mother to me. And I hear, anytime I hear it, that's who I think of. And so sometimes when I'm curious if my mother was around, that song would come through, or someone would mention it, or usually it's a commercial nowadays,
Yeah.
because that song doesn't really come on the radio too much.
No,
Um, yeah, right.
we're dating ourselves.
We totally are. But or the other one is I Love You a Bushel and a Peck.
Hmm.
That was another song from my mother. And so sometimes I'll just see something about, a bushel and a peck, like it may not even be the song. So yeah, those are the ways that I think, one of the ways
Hmm.
that our guides, and I feel especially those that have passed, speak to us.
Yeah. And so when we talk about, because our topic tonight is about deciphering these messages, it's remembering that our guides speak to us, like you said, in a way that we understand. And yet there's still uh, things that we have to connect. We still have to connect the dots. It's not always 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes we have to go like 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and put it all together. And that takes practice. That's really, for me, that's what it was practice.
Yeah, it's developing a skill like any other skill. So we talked about like songs and angel numbers. Those are like pretty you know, a lot of times they're very, you know, you get the recurring number, you see it, then I mean, we wanted to mention that if you see it once and you're not sure if that's an angel number, ask your guides to say, you know, show it to me again, and you'll get it again. So that's a way of validating whether or not you're on the right path. But those are pretty straightforward. Songs have a specific line and specific words. The angel numbers you can look up, like we said, and that's a specific message. But things like dreams, those, you know, for me, dreams were really one of the very first ways that I was getting strong messages. And I remember the first dream, there was a couple in a row, like within a month, that really woke me up to this process. The first dream was really a nightmare. And it was what I saw was what I thought was my daughter. Well, what it was in the dream was my daughter's lung in the bottom of a hot tub, and she had drowned. And I woke up crying hysterically. It just, the emotions that came up. And it wasn't until I started doing a lot of dream work, because I even took a class and was part of a group when I was starting this process, and that I realized it wasn't my daughter, it was my little girl. And so then every time, and lungs is grief. And so my little girl was drowning in her grief. And for those of you that don't know, my dad died when I was 8. My mother died when I was 27. There was just a lot of grief in my life. And my little girl was drowning in her grief. That was the message my guides were trying to tell me. And from there, I started my healing work. And so every time then I dreamt about my daughter in my dream, I knew it was my little girl. So you start, like you're saying, building that skill. You start putting together the symbols that your guides are using to help you start understanding what you're dreaming about. Yeah. And that might even work in other messages as well. If you're getting messages from your guides, it doesn't have to just be in dreams. You might get the same symbol over and over. And once you identify the meaning of that symbol, they can use it over and over again, and you have the meaning. Yeah.
And again, it comes to the paying attention piece. And I once had a therapist tell me something, because I learned I've always known that there was sexual abuse at a young age, but I did not know who. And I was told the who in a dream. And I got the age in the dream because it was about my niece, who was at the time 8. So it was, you get those messages. But what my therapist said to me, which I thought was great, was dreams are letters. And if you don't take the time to decipher them, it's like leaving a letter unopened.
Beautiful.
And I found for me, I also have, so water is always spirit world for me in my dreams. And that's how I know where I'm connecting in that way. And if the dream is sensory connected, meaning I've woken up, if it's sensory connected, it's past life. I've woken up with a taste of blood in my mouth when I was biting somebody who was sexually attacking me in a former life. And I won't go into all of them, but when it is sensorily related, that's how I know it's a past life connection in my dream. I'm being shown past life. But it wasn't until I've had 3 that I went, oh, so it's not always the first time that you're going to get what you're being told. Sometimes and that's where that journaling comes in handy. journaling your angel numbers, journaling your dreams, journaling the messages that you're getting, because then you get to see the patterns.
Absolutely. And so you can do that. And also, and here's a shameless plug, but you guys can reach out to us, because a lot of times I know, even at this stage, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and I still need a support person sometimes to help me see through what those dreams are or those signs are. Sometimes they are so complicated that we need somebody else, or they're deep, or they're subconscious, right? So don't be scared to reach out for help, because sometimes someone's perspective, that's an observer, that's outside of what you're feeling, can really help you figure that out.
And I found when I was first starting to interpret dreams, I would use, books, or again, my friend Google, and I would write down, the pieces of the dream I would remember. I would write down what the books would say, and then I would start journaling about, like, what did it say and what resonated. And what I found is, as I was journaling, the messages would come through. It may not have been exactly what the book said, but because I was open to receiving that message, it would come through.
Yeah, I use and I'm going to say it because I think this is a great site. It's called dreammoods.com. And that one really resonates with me. So usually, to this day, if I have a dream, I'll go look something up and see what it means, if it's something that I haven't seen before. And I'll write down, like, let's just say, I don't know, pick 3 things: a snake, and I saw it in a cave, and whatever the other thing is. And so then you write down the meanings, and then I look at it like, how does that pertain to what's going on in my life, or to what I'm trying to work through, or what I need support or help with. And what I learned is that the beginning of your dream is usually your past. So if you're trying to figure something out, or your guides are here to help you figure something out, the beginning of the dream is kind of like your past, or the middle of the dream is the present, kind of what you're going through now. And then the end of the dream is the future, how to work through what it is that you're struggling with. So if you don't remember the beginning or the middle of the dream, it's good to at least remember some of the middle of the dream, because that gives you the insight to where they're directing you. But the end of the dream, if you can't remember all the details, don't worry so much about that. Any details you can remember at the end of your dream is really helpful, because then it can help you to uncover maybe some of the ways that will help you move through whatever you're trying to figure out. For me, my biggest dream, and this has been really forever, is I'm always going to the bathroom, or trying to find a bathroom, or can't go to the bathroom, or someone's in the bathroom. Like, after a while I was like, all right. But what's really interesting, so bathroom is releasing, right? So when I'm a healer, when I'm doing healing work, like I do it on myself, I'm always releasing and all of that. So it made sense to me that all my dreams were about different ways I could or couldn't release, or what my fears were that were keeping me back from releasing. Very interestingly, though, in the last year, every time I go to the bathroom, like every time I'm releasing. So I'm at a different stage of this process. Now it's easy for me to release, but that symbol's still in there, because it's telling me something else about the process. I'm no longer blocked. I'm now able to release, but the rest of the dream kind of helps me to formulate the answers that I need, even though I'm not blocked in the releasing process. So I found that really fascinating this year. I was like, wow, cool.
And this is what happens when you keep track of it, right? Is you get to see the evolution. So I often have people say, I don't remember my dreams. So I want to share a technique that I found worked for me is I go back to the point that I do remember. And then I'll say, and what happened before that? And I'm able to inch my way back a little bit more. And then what happened before that? And I'm able to inch my way back a little bit more. And so you can work on remembering your dreams and build that muscle. And the very best thing to do is to, as soon as you wake up, write it down. Because I promise you, this morning I had this dream and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go write it down. No, I'll remember it. No.
I agree. And I mean, there's poignant dreams in your life that,
Oh yeah.
like the one, that dream with my daughter was, you'll never forget. But most dreams, our subconscious or that part of our brain gets overtaken by day-to-day stuff. So yeah, keep a notebook by your bed is a great thing. And that was a great process. I've never heard anybody talk about that. So I will use it myself.
Oh, good. Oh, good. And so we find that spirit connects with us through dreams because that's when our ego is out of the way, right? We're relaxed. We have kind of the day has gone and we're open. So angel numbers, dreams are two real easy ways, songs, easy ways for that connection. Let's talk about animals.
I love animals. Let's get out our books because we both have the same book we love. Mine is so well worn. Animals Speak by Ted Andrew, guys. I have used this for so many years. Okay, so I love animals. Animals is like animals, and then we'll go into the other way is my body are the two ways that really talk to me on a regular basis. I just love the fact that one of the things that I know I had asked so I teach a whole class on animals, signs in my certification program. And I share that when I was writing that piece of the class, I decided to ask my guides, why animals? Like, why animals? And what they told me was that animals don't have the filters that humans have that block the messages coming through. So they don't question, why should I fly over here? Or why should I stop in this branch? They just use, again, I believe intuition is, spirit talking through us. So animals have that too. And so they just do it. They don't question it. They just stop at a branch if they're supposed to stop at a branch. So I thought that was really fascinating when I got that message.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, animals have spoken to me for a really long time. Some, like my hawk is my totem animal. And that's one that has been with me for as long as I can remember. And then I have other animals that come in for a length of time, like the heron was one that came to me for a length of time. And that message for me was to have my feet firmly on the ground while I was connecting up to spirit. So that was that message. So once I interpreted what the message was by reading about it in Animal Speak and then sitting with that animal and its frequency, I got that message. Then every time I would see the heron, I would know that's my message. All right, remember the ground, remember to keep your feet on the ground, or maybe I was too much here grounded and I needed to connect up. So so sometimes animals are with you for a while. And then we have the ones that come in like, I don't know, one time I had like, tons of ants in my house And it was just like one time I was like, what is going on? And it wasn't just like in one area. They were like all like I would clean it up or whatever, and then it'd be in a different area. And I was like, all right, like at first I was just aggravated. And then I remembered, oh, pick up your book and see what that was about. And so sometimes they come in for a specific message. And usually it's that it's an unusual amount of them together, or they're in a place that's unusual. So that's how you know, like, it's like, hello, I'm here to start. And actually, you know, I don't know if you do, Yvette, but I also, when I dream of animals, I'll Google that, but sometimes
Mhm.
I'll also read about the animal in the animal speak, because sometimes they will come through in dreams.
Yep.
So I'll use the dream interpretation, but I'll make sure I also read Ted Andrews' interpretation, and then I just kind of, you know, meld what I need from it all.
Mhm. And I think that it's a really important, that message about there being an unusual number or them being in an unusual place, because yeah, ants come in, you
Right.
know, but when you like there's an infestation, may not be the best word, but, or I was doing some work yesterday, I was doing a group healing, and I was picking out some oils to use right behind me, and on the windowsill outside this window, a titmouse. He just like came. I went, okay, I will look you up because you are part of this message that I'm about to deliver. So
Absolutely.
it's being aware of the not so usual incidences of things.
Yeah, and the other thing that I want to mention, so I spoke about the hawk, and when I was when I was actually beginning to give the class, I had an emergency trip, and I was really nervous about, was I going to be able to do the class that week, and what I needed to do. And anyway, long story that I won't get into, but all of a sudden we're driving in the car and I see a hawk. Now, you know, you're driving in the car, you see a hawk. All right. But I'm like, all right. I noticed. Then maybe 15 minutes later, there was a sign that said Hawk Motel. And I was like, oh, okay, yes, that was my hawk. And, you know, how often do you see Hawk Motel? That's not even, you know, it's not like Do Drop In or something. It was Hawk Motel. So I was like, oh, all right. And I was still like nervous about everything. And I have to say, about, I don't know, maybe an hour later, half hour later, there was another hawk. So it piggybacked everything. And I was like, all right. And that calmed me down. So, you know, it doesn't have to be also the actual animal. If you get a sign and you're not sure, and then all of a sudden on TV is, you know, is a thing about elephants, and then all of a sudden you go into the store and there's a t-shirt with an elephant on it, and then there's, you know, a postcard with an elephant on it, or someone mentions their trip to Africa and they saw elephants. So be aware, it's not always the way we think it's going to be, but watch for the dots that you were talking about, those dots that get connected.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo, there's so much, right? Let's talk about the serendipity of things. You talked about the Hawk Motel, the hawk. And so I want to talk about stuff that, like what happened yesterday. That titmouse was on the windowsill, and at this, right before that, I had been taking some crystals off the windowsill because they had been bathing in the moonlight, and moving them back to my shelf here. And it was right before I was about to go into meditation, and a heart-shaped crystal called apatite fell. And I said, okay, you want me to meditate with this crystal? I will do that. So it's things like that you get, there's, I'm going to call them bumps in the night. Like, what are you trying to tell me? What do you want me to do? If it's not clear, I need a little bit more, please.
Absolutely. communication is totally fine. Just like you're in a relationship with a friend and you don't understand a text. You're like, I need a little bit more clarification. So yeah, ask. It's interesting because one of the coolest one that I think ever happened to me was I was really feeling a lot of grief around my mother, and I was missing her, and I really wanted her to reach out to me. And I was driving to meet a friend, and I was like talking to her and like, I miss you, and I'd love to have a sign or whatever. And I was going to a restaurant that had a store in front of it, and so my friend then texts me and says, I'm running a little late. And I was like, that's fine, I'll go and wander in the store. And so I'm wandering, and all of a sudden I see this card, and the card is like in a spot, like in the garden center. So it wasn't even like by the other cards. And it says, for my daughter.
Oh, wow.
And I originally picked it up because it was so pretty. And I thought maybe I'd send it to my daughter. Like, my headspace had nothing to do with my mother at that point. I was shopping, right? I wasn't thinking about that. But here was this card, and I picked it up, and I took pictures of it. It is exactly what I needed the message from my mother to say to me. And I talk about that in my class because I want people to understand that I don't think like my mother came and put the card there. What we know is somebody put the card there because it was totally out of shape, out of place. So when we talk about being aware, like you were saying, do I have to listen to this? When we get an inkling, when we get a message, when we get a hunch, you know what, to pick this card up and put it over here, or to use this crystal, or what about this oil, buy this book, or, go see this movie. Listen, because it may not even be, we're all angels on earth. So somebody listened to a hunch and put that card in that area and I got to find it exactly when I needed it. So it's not only about like always understanding why you're getting the messages you're getting. When you start doing this work and you do it regularly and you develop faith and trust and you have a relationship with your guide, you start trusting the process. And I always say when you start getting successes, right, you can build on the successes. And that's how you develop these relationships and trust yourself that you're interpreting the messages in a way that's honoring what they're trying to tell us.
And what just came to me, because they want me to say this, is to remember to say thank you.
Yes. Yeah. And you've said that before. You've said that on each class, because it is very important. It is a closure to the connection.
Yeah. I have a couple of questions, a couple of things that came through on the Facebook page that I want to. So Jan said that, so when a male cardinal keeps pecking on your window, that's a message? Like what?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I also say that's territorial. The male cardinal is thinking there's another male cardinal there. But yes, cardinals are definitely, they're kind of like angel numbers. They are, I actually have a statue my husband bought me. It says, when a cardinal appears, I can't read it from here because I've got my glasses on, but it's about someone you love, someone you love who's in another plane is coming to say hello.
Yeah, I feel like, we are starting to bring this energy work into the mainstream, and the mainstream is starting to really accept the fact that cardinals, butterflies, ladybugs are symbols that someone that has passed is coming to say hello. And you're right. I mean, obviously, you know, there's habitat and, you know, ways that animals behave. But I also feel like it was interesting that you wrote a male cardinal. So who is the male that has passed? And the first person that comes into your mind, you know, then ask that person for another sign. So when that has happened to me, and I, you know, unfortunately I have a lot of people that have passed around me, when I don't know who it is, I say, give me another sign. And like my mother is an angel, is a number 122. It's my birthday. It's just, so she'll come through in that way. My father is coins. He always does coins. And so I'll find, after I say, you know, show me who it is, that maybe I'll find a penny or a dime on the ground somewhere. So those are ways to, if you're not sure if it's just a cardinal knocking on your window, ask, think who it is. Who do you feel like it is? Then ask that energy to give you another sign if it is them.
Perfect. Perfect.
And look, you know, I'm sorry, one other thing, you may see their birthday, you may see like a song come on, or all those other things we were speaking about as a sign that that's who's trying to get your attention.
Next question. Oh, where did it go? Okay. How do you tell the difference between those dots and frequency illusion because we're actively looking for signs?
I love that question. I'll tell you how I know, my gut. Because I usually get some sort of hunch, some sort of, I don't know, reaction internally that something's going on. My son was the first one that said to me, he's like, Mom, when I was telling about angel numbers, he's like, I'll only believe this if you document how many times you've seen a number that's not in sequence and how many times you've seen a number that is in sequence. And if those numbers are more than those, they're very scientific mind. And I got him because just like that question from that person, it is, we don't always know. We don't always know. But if you're getting that sign, read up about it and see if something resonates. You'll know whether that message is for you or not.
And I think the more you, the other piece to it is, the more you are actively looking, it's like looking for a conversation. The more you're looking to have the conversation, the more conversation you're going to get. So if you're walking through life, not talking with anybody, you're not going to, it'll be rare that someone will talk to you. But if you're walking through life and saying, hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? Oh, you look pretty today, you know, and you're actively engaging, you're going to get more engagement. So it would make sense then the more you're actively looking for signs, the more communication you will receive.
Absolutely. And, you know, trust what resonates with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're reading up something and it doesn't resonate with you, then let it go. Like, this is your journey. All these are tools to help you connect into your authentic self, to learn and to connect into your soul's journey. So if something doesn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. They don't give up. So you'll get your message in another way. You'll go like, again, you'll go like, wow, I can't believe this came up again. But, and then ask yourself, is this a message I need? Is there something that I should be paying attention to? So it's really about being curious and see what resonates with you. We don't, you know, I'll give you all a little secret. When I say to people, do I know this is all true 100%? I'd be the first to say no. I don't. How would I know? I really
Right.
don't. But after 20 plus years of using all these tools, it has changed my life around. It has helped me heal. There are coincidences and areas that the collective agrees with, that after a while you do trust it. So don't trust it because we're saying it, play with it. Be curious, play, just
Right.
play and see what happens. And then let us know.
All right. Anything else as far as understanding the messages?
I'm gonna look at notes real quick and see if there was anything else that we.
While you're looking, I want to share a personal story about that again, that active versus passive receiving messages and asking for signs. So I was sharing with Shari before we started the recording that 20 something years ago, it was before I really even connected into consciously connecting with spirit. And I was in my first marriage. I was in this, do I end this marriage? Don't I? Conversation. And we were camping. We went on a hike. We were on cliffs. I always say, well, that's a really good, should I end this marriage? We're hiking on a cliff. And we sat down to rest. And I was just like, oh, I need some guidance here. I just don't know what to do. And it was a perfectly beautiful sunny day, and a rainbow appeared in the sky. And my husband at the time said, oh, look, there's a rainbow. And I said, oh, it's my rainbow. Like, I knew I was getting the message that my thought was to end the relationship, that I was getting confirmation that yes, that's what there is to do. And so building your muscle around communication can be asking for that communication.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a beautiful story. I love it. That's my rainbow.
My rainbow.
And I think a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, yes, we're going into detail and we're giving some extra tools that people don't really think about. But I know probably everybody at some point has said, give me a sign, and has received a sign. And you know what that feels like in your body. That was the only other thing that I did want to talk about, was our bodies are also a way that I think our soul, our guidance communicates with us. So we're kind of talking a little bit. Yep. So we both have our books, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And so, again, another one that I use. Now a lot of people are talking about affirmations. She uses a lot of affirmations to kind of help shift your thought patterns. And, but I want you to think about that too, that when we get a sign, we know how it feels in our body. Just like we know when someone's telling the truth, and that's another muscle, another skill set we can develop. And it's really about learning how to trust yourself. So I think the most important piece in all of this is to keep doing it. Keep playing. Keep being curious. Keep having conversations. And then see what develops from there. If it's working for you, then keep working it. If it's not, that's okay too. So play with these tools and see what comes through, and start trusting yourself, because that's really what being authentic is about. And the whole idea of our guides communicating with us is for them to help guide us on our soul's journey. So see what happens and definitely let us know.
Yeah, and it really is. I love that, the curiosity, because it is the curiosity about your dreams, the curiosity about animals, the curiosity about, that twinge that happened in your body. Like your knee didn't hurt yesterday and all of a sudden it hurts, and it wasn't because you were playing soccer. Like, what's going on? What does that mean? You look it up. And for me, anything with my, ankle, knee, hip is about moving forward. I'm like, what am I resisting and moving forward? And ask yourself that question, be curious, and say thank you, body, for giving me the avenue.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm talking about, I don't know, 20, no, maybe 17 years ago. I started asking my body. I actually at that point caught somebody online, and she would use this tool, and she would say, body, beautiful body, what are you trying to tell me? And to this day, if I have a pain, if I have something that feels off, if my shoulder hurts. Now, I'm an IET practitioner, so we learn how different parts of the body hold different energy. So I incorporate that as well. But even when I think I know, because it's something I've learned or read, I still say, body, beautiful body, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me? And then listen, stop, pause. And then see what comes up for you. So again, it is about being aware. It's about being connected. It's about being present. All those things that we know are good for us in other areas of our life as well. So, we're certainly not doing any harm by paying attention to what all these things mean and how we can move forward in a way that really supports us.
I would tell you, I'm so caught up in that body, beautiful body. What are you trying to tell me? Because I'm thinking how honoring it is of the messenger, right? Because it'd be like, oh my, like, what is up with this pain in my knee versus body, beautiful body. What are you trying to tell me?
Exactly.
Such a difference.
And just that alone, right?
Yes.
Like just that alone goes from those denser energies, those, things that weigh you down, and it and moves us from to the higher frequencies. So it moves us from fear and anger and all of, uncomfortableness to love. And I know that sounds probably a little woo woo, and when we're in the middle of pain, we don't want to be like, oh, I just want butterflies and rainbows, right? But sometimes that shift is really all we need to allow ourselves to feel differently in the moment.
Well, and Shari, anyone who's listening to this is a little woo woo anyway, so it's okay. So we're in good company.
Yeah.
All right. I don't see any other questions. I don't have anything else in my notes. Do you have anything else that you want to share?
No, other than I am so happy that we did this, that we had all 3 parts, and there will be playbacks, and I'm sure we'll be getting together under some other topics sometime soon.
Yes. Yes. And please let us know if there's anything in particular you want us to get together on. We'll entertain it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always so fun being with you, Yvette.
All right. Thank you.